and I was ready to punch him in the face.
And at that time was the first time that I really started seeing haters.
There is no revenge like massive success.
But then when I'd leave and I'd go back to Dallas, then my other friends would be like, oh yeah, man, like he was talking shit about you.
Even if you say good morning, some people will disagree with that.
Some of the biggest success I had in life was because of hate.
Shove it up Midge's. And he goes, they told me you're selling drugs.
The same guy said that I was in jail.
If it wasn't for haters, the success wouldn't be so sweet. So today we're going to talk about one of my favorite subjects. I think we're going to have a lot of fun today. Today we're going to talk about haters. And you know what Taylor Swift said? The haters are going to hate, 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 hate. I love that. That's very clear. 5 hates. And if you think about it, Taylor Swift's had a lot of haters. A lot of people have ripped her apart in the media. She only writes about her, old boyfriends. I mean, I've seen some pretty nasty comments about her over the years. And I think they said this tour she's on will gross $1 billion in revenue. One tour. So she's certainly got a pretty good answer for her haters. So let's dive in here, boys. What do we want to talk about? I know we've all had haters, so.
Yeah. So, first of all, let me ask you, do you remember of course we all remember some of our haters, but any of you has somebody that, you remember him and it's like, okay, this guy was my biggest hater. I would love to hear stories, I'm all about stories. So.
Oh, I got some stories.
Mark has some, yeah.
I've got a really good one we'll throw in at some point. If we were drinking alcohol, I would leave.
There's alcohol here. We could bust it out.
No. So, go.
I believe that every successful person has haters anyway.
Of course.
But I see them as a motivation. I mean, personally, looking back when I was like 22 years old, I was on TV. And at that time was the first time that I really started seeing haters.
I can imagine.
And at that time, because I wasn't in personal development, exactly what I said in a previous podcast, I couldn't handle it in the beginning. And I was on a TV show that was live. So I seen myself going on studio and not feeling good because of what I've read in a magazine the day before, because of a hater. But okay, I had a really nice mentor back then that he explained me the situation, how it goes on TV, and I went through it. But since that time, personally, hater for me is my biggest motivation. Some of the biggest success I had in life was because of hate.
Well, the first thing people have to understand, if you have a hater, it means you're doing something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The old expression, dogs don't bark at parked cars, so you're doing something. So imagine this poor guy is a young man. You're excited, right? I bet you were excited. I'd be excited to be on a TV show. And then you have some critic. I have so much to say here because I'm finally finishing my book, and my book's all about critics. And to me, a critic is someone who sits on the sidelines, who hasn't done a damn thing, and they're going to criticize someone who has the balls to get on the field and do something. So here you are doing your best, and someone who's probably never been on TV, doesn't have the talent, skills, or looks to be on TV, is criticizing you and making you feel like shit. So again, most people don't know how to deal with this. We all spent time in the network marketing industry. You're going to have people thinking you're crazy, you're an idiot. We attract haters like, flies to honey. So, what I know you've got a great story about it.
Yeah, so back in the day, I was working as a car salesman, selling cars. And then I started my career in network marketing. I went to my inner circle, to my good friends. But before I went to everybody else, I invited one of my best friends. And back then I was living in a small apartment, paying my rent, In that apartment I had the kitchen, the living room, and the bedroom in one room, right?
Wow.
Yeah.
I had a similar place.
And I moved there with my wife. So I watched that MLM opportunity. That was 2011. I invited one of my best friends. I invited someone to help me with a presentation. So that guy is watching the presentation. Right after the presentation, he said, I'm going to do it. I'm going to join, but I don't have my credit card with me. I'm like, okay, no worries. I trust you. Call me tomorrow morning. Give me your credit card number. So next day in the morning, he doesn't call me. So I'm calling him, and he goes, this thing that you are doing, you will end up in jail, and, you know, you don't have to do this, and that's a pyramid scheme, and that's a scam, and it's this and it's that. And I'm like, dude, I get it. You don't want to do it. That's not a problem. Here is what I want you to do. Just respect me and don't go to talk to our common friends.
Yeah.
Let me do it.
Yeah.
So same day, it was summertime. We went to the beach. He was there. My friends were there. And suddenly he stood up and he said, hey guys, let me tell you what Stavros is doing. So he's so stupid, he believes he will be a millionaire. Look at him. And he said he's trying to sell this and that and find people to do this. And he believes he will make 5 digits per month. And he believes then he will be a millionaire. And he started laughing out so loud.
Is this the son of your teacher that you talked about?
No, but they look very similar. So he said, and he started laughing out so loud, and he influenced everybody else, started laughing out, and he was pointing at me. And I stood up, I walked towards him, and I was ready to punch him in the face. Like, I'm ready now to punch him in the freaking face and, you know, crush him. And I just walked away. I didn't do anything. I walked away. I went back to my small apartment. I sat on the bed. I remember that. And I was thinking, maybe he's right, you know. You know, if my best friends, if my own friends didn't follow me, who will follow me? So maybe he's right. Maybe, you know, it's not going to work. Maybe I should quit. Maybe. So seconds later, I'm thinking again, and I'm thinking that, but if I quit, he's definitely right. You know, and they will laugh out even more and louder. So maybe I should try. Maybe I should try and prove him wrong. And long story short, a year later, from that company, I'm earning, you know, not 5 digits, but almost 6 digits, definitely 6 digits per year, close to 7 digits per year.
Yeah, but you got up to $1 million a year.
Yeah, over 7 digits a year. But, you know, a year later after that meeting, I'm close to $1 million per year. And I'm about to get married, and I'm calling him, the same person, to invite him to my house to come and get the wedding invitation. But now it's not a small apartment, you know, now it's a big house, a big villa.
I was at that house, yeah.
And, you know, I'm waiting for him. He comes in, and he started looking around like, what the fuck is going on here? So, you know, he's coming in. My dog house is bigger than the apartment I used to live. It's like, what happened here? I'm like, you remember that pyramid scheme, that scam you are telling me? Yeah, this is how I made all the money. And he looked at me and he said, bro, you know, I got to tell you, I'm sorry for what I did. I was wrong. And I'm like, no, you don't have to be sorry, because you are one of the main reasons I did what I did. You know, you pushed me so much.
You know what's scary, though, brother? So many people would have sat on that bed and quit. Yeah. You know, one of the biggest things, 2 things I learned from my mentor. One is there is no revenge like massive success. Yeah. Get back to that. The other one, though, is the way you succeed is you have to have a total absence of doubt. You know, in the Bible it says if you have faith but the size of a mustard seed, you can move a mountain. Number one thing haters do is they put seeds of doubt in your head. And, you know, the best way to explain that passage is, can you be pregnant and not pregnant simultaneously? Can you be alive and dead? No, you can't. It's one or the other. So a lot of people don't understand our conscious brain can only entertain one thought at a time. So it's either a faith thought or a doubt thought. So if you have just a mustard seed of doubt, it's doubt. If you just have a small, if you're going to try to do something that people have not done before, if you're trying to be an Olympic gold medal winner, I know one of the people speaking at our event, it was an Olympic gold medal winner. You know, come on, what are the odds of all the little girls who are going to swimming classes right now, you're going to win a gold medal at the Olympics? So the average person says, you're crazy, you're stupid, you can't do that. What makes you think you can do that? My dad ripped my head off. My Aunt Shirley, who was like my second mom, ripped my head off. And I just remember my mentor saying, you've got to take that and turn it into fuel. He used to tell the story that when he started doing network marketing, his mom's best friend was named Midge, and Midge would always see him and go, do you have your Mercedes yet? Yeah. Do you have your mansion yet? Do you have your yacht yet? So he got a little card, and he wrote his number one goal was to shove it up Midge's ass. And when he taught that at the seminar, I was like, oh my God. He also said that one of the guys in his group got a license plate that said ESNB, which stood for eat shit non-believer. So it's like, and it's funny because some people take it and turn it into fuel like you did that make us really successful, but most people take it to heart. And here's the thing, the criticism, this is what I'm trying to get across to people in my book, the criticism rarely comes from someone who's qualified. Yeah, exactly. So why would you listen to someone who's unqualified? You know, the people who stab you in the back are behind you for a reason. They're behind you. They're not in front of you. People that are doing something with their lives don't have time to stand around and criticize other people. So a hater, by definition, is a non-productive person. In many cases, they're a coward as well. I mean, it's pretty crazy stuff.
Yeah, as you said, people that they try to bring you down, they're below you for a reason.
And now they're all over. Now they're online. Yeah. So a lot of them make fake profiles, and they're not even, they don't have the courage to even be themselves. They just hide behind a keyboard and slaughter people when they've achieved nothing at all in their life and are never going to achieve. But like you did, we take it to heart. That's the thing about social media. That's the thing about, I mean, thank God most people are not in the literal limelight. For George, he had to read in. Imagine your first presentation in network marketing, which probably wasn't very good, and imagine if the local news channel goes, here's Stavros Zinnos doing his first, but this is one of the worst presentations we've ever seen. Because most people imagine having to be a professional athlete or someone, and you're literally being critiqued from the minute you start. So if you're not under that kind of limelight, thank God. If you've got your grandmother or your friend Bob or whoever is giving you a hard time about something, I remember reading an article in a newspaper called the Kansas City Star, and it says, you know, the person was writing an article saying, you know, I'm trying to do something great with my life. Why are people raining on my parade? And the answer was, because most people have never had a parade in their own life. Right. So they're going to rain on your parade because in a weird way, you would think your friends want you to succeed, but in a way, if you do, you're going to make them look bad if they don't have the courage to do what you're doing. It's interesting.
And here is the one thing I hate about social media, that it gave voice to unsuccessful people. Right. And their only success is hating other people, the successful ones.
Yeah, because
they have the ability.
You don't qualify to open a social media account, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of people now, because of social media, even sometimes they just they think, oh, they didn't like my post. Oh, they didn't. And so now they start creating that mentality of, oh, well, maybe they don't like me, or maybe they don't this, maybe they don't, you know, where, I mean, you know, that's the other thing, which
the truth is,
that's a different topic.
you can't do any post in social, even if you say good morning. Oh. Some people will disagree with that, right? For some people, it's not a good morning. Yeah. So don't take other people's shits personally. Yeah. That's the key.
Yeah, I had one situation back at home, my hometown where I grew up, where I had, one of my buddies, kind of like you, that he would come around anytime I'd go back down, to visit or do cookouts and hang out and this. So he'd come over, he'd hang out, he'd drink beer, whatever we were having. He'd partake in the barbecue, any of that stuff. But then when I'd leave and I'd go back to Dallas, then my other friends would be like, oh yeah, man, like he was talking shit about you, saying like, oh look, he thinks he's all badass. He just came from Italy. He just came from, Maui. He just came this and that. And, and oh, he comes in like, in his car, at that time I had a different car and everything. And it was funny because at first I was like, well, fuck, like this guy's to my face. Like, hey, man, what's up?
That's the worst. People that are two-faced. Yeah.
I didn't stop. I think he kind of singled himself out, where after a while he was like, oh, shit.
So here is a question I have for all of you guys. How do you respond or how do you react? Which it means, one thing is that action speaks louder than words. Yeah. Best revenge is massive success. You said it before, but do you talk to them? Do you get into any argument?
An altercation? No, I definitely did it.
The thing is, when you do that, you lower yourself to their level, and it's like and again, here's the thing. I'm out being productive in my life, and someone's criticizing me. If I start engaging in a conversation, I stop being productive with my life. So you just keep going forward, man. It's like, and if anything, again, the advice I would say, it's got to be the extra that becomes the fuel that gets you to go further. You follow what I'm saying? So
Absolutely.
like, I'm normal.
Absolutely,
I'm a normal human being. I'm not like get up and be motivated and everything. I'm a normal human being. So I sometimes get into a place where I become a little complacent. So I've got so many good stories. But recently, when I started working with a client, for some reason, a guy I never met before, he never met me, just decided to start attacking me, start talking shit to me, to my client. He said I was lethargic, I was over the hill, like all these things. Like, I've never been criticized like this guy criticized me. And there wasn't one fucking ounce of me that said, oh, maybe he's right. I was like, shove it up Midge's ass. Like, I'm like, oh, okay, pal, like, and I'm telling you, not only did I go into that relationship with my new client with a passion beyond what I would have had, which would have already been a lot, but it made me that much better. But then, just like you, like, I want to get with this guy and go, thank you so much. Because not only did he help me do better with that client, but I would have never finished this fucking book, because I've been writing this book forever. But now I'm like, well, this is God telling me, like, you've got the biggest critic you've had in your life in your face. Write this book, because the way you're responding to it is the way other people need to respond. So again, letting someone else make you feel inferior about yourself is about, I don't care if they're a qualified critic. I don't care if when you go on TV, the greatest TV critic in the history of the world says you suck. So what? Anyone can be. It doesn't matter where you start. It matters where you finish.
I think if you know who you are, then you know who you are not, right? I mean, I remember, funny story, I was in Greece, I was doing a presentation, and at some point, it's a guy calling me, say, hey, I know the founder of this company, and that company, it's a big scam. And I'm like, who's the founder? And I'm right next to a Greek guy who's a friend of me, and he goes, the founder is Stavros Zinonos, and he's telling this to me. I'm like, so you do know Stavros Zinonos?
And you're Stavros Zinonos.
And he goes, yes, and he lives in London. And the guy next to me goes, are you stupid? He is Stavros Zinonos, and he's not the freaking founder. You remember that story?
Yeah, it's the same story that the same guy said that I was in jail.
Yeah,
and
I'm
we
like,
together,
and we are together in that freaking room, and he goes, yeah, I know, and they are in jail. I'm like, are you stupid? He's Stavros Zinonos. He goes, no, he's not Stavros Zinonos. And I'm like, the guy who was next to me was Kostas, and I'm like, Kostas, he's right. I'm not Stavros Zinonos. If you know who you are, you know.
But it goes back to, like, you're either doing something or you're talking about someone doing something. I remember getting, when I first got in the networking industry, and I had success, and I went back to see my college. This guy was my best friend in college. He and I were in a band together. Like, we were best friends. And, you know, we hadn't seen each other in like 5 or 6 years. And it was one of those guys that I just knew the minute I walked in the room, be like, we never missed a beat. But it wasn't like that. It was awkward and it was weird. So after, thank God we were having a couple drinks. After a couple drinks, I'm like, dude, what is up? And he's like, well, you know, I know you're successful and I know you're making a lot of money and I can see the cars and all the, but he goes, but, you know, are you okay with the way you're making the money? And I'm like going, yeah, like, what do you mean? He goes, well, I mean, you know, so-and-so told me what you're doing. And I'm like, what did they tell you I'm doing? And he goes, they told me you're selling drugs. And I'm like, first of all, this guy knows me. When I was in college, I didn't touch anything. Like, I don't even know how to smoke a joint. I'm not that guy. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, of all the people in the world, you know, I wouldn't know a drug term if, dude, I'm selling water filters, for God's sake. So, but it just showed me that, like, who are the people, their lives are so small that they're making that shit up behind my back. And it's what I'm saying. It's like, you've got to get to a point where you know what you're doing and you believe in yourself and you keep moving forward. You know, it's like if you're going to listen to the outside noise, whatever it might be, whether it's an official critic, whether it's a friend, whether it's the rumor mill, whatever the case might be, then you're going to get off, at the least, you're going to get off track dealing with it. It's going to put a mustard seed of doubt in your head, which can ruin everything. So you got to put the blinders on. Like a horse runs with blinders for a reason. Look at your finish line and keep going forward. And here's the other part. We all figured out this. Instead of being around the haters, let's create a community of people where, even though we didn't know each other years ago, we weren't friends, the one thing we had in common is we all had our own individual goals. We were all moving in a certain direction and we supported each other. Monaco and I couldn't have grown up in different circumstances at all. I grew up in New Jersey, right next to New York. You grew up on the border near Mexico. You guys are from Cyprus. I mean, what we have in common is we want to do something significant with our lives, and we encourage each other, even when things aren't going good. It's easy to tear someone apart, especially when things aren't going good. But that's another thing people can find in Life Mastery is it's not just us at all. Like, we just get the thing started. The idea is to create an army of people who are as good or better than us, who are supporting each other. So when you come to one of our events, you want to come back to the next event, not just for the content, but for the relationships, for the friendships, for the camaraderie. Because out in the real world, there are a lot of haters. There really are a lot of haters. And again, like I said, you're not going to do anything substantial without haters. They're going to be there, and you're going to piss people off with your success. So not only do you need to learn how to process it, but surround yourself with an army of incredibly good friends. And that's what really puts you in a position to overcome it. And I guess the ultimate deal is this. If it wasn't for haters, the success wouldn't be so sweet. You know, at The View, we do the hockey character, and, you know, the whole idea is there's a goalie. A goalie never tries to score. All they want to do is block you. That's what a hater is. Pardon the interruption. I know you're enjoying one of our podcasts right now. However, I really need to stop and tell you about our next upcoming live event, which is called A View from the Edge. This coming March, we're going to be in Croatia, in Zagreb, Croatia to be specific. And we're going to deliver maybe the most unique training event that is being done anywhere in the world today. This is going to make you better at anything you're doing. We use a form of training called edutainment, where we educate and entertain you at the same time. We're going to show you a very quick promotional video, but trust me, if you just sit back and take it in, you're going to get a real feel for what this event is like. And I promise you, the tagline for this event is more appropriate than any other training I've ever seen in my life. Our tagline is life will never be the same. Not business will never be the same. That may be true as well, but life will never be the same. So check out this video, and when it's done, we'll get you right back to the podcast. What's holding you back? What is your problem? What's stopping you from living the life God intended you to live? You need to step up right now. This isn't just a seminar. This is your life. So if you can get past someone who's deliberately trying to stop you from scoring, it just makes scoring the goal that much more successful. And remember that critics and haters never end up with anything. The only way they win is if they get you off track. So just don't let them win, man. Stay true to your goals. Surround yourself with a bunch of people that care about you and get to your goal. And then, you can laugh at your haters. Because the players are going to play, and the haters are always going to hate. We can start and end with Tay-Tay. I think that's a good way to go.
We're Swifties.
Yeah, we are. And we'll see you next time.